That's right, everybody. It's that time of the week again, bitch. Welcome back to another saucy episode of Old School New School Comedy Podcast. And I am your shit-talking host, Christy Miller. And with me this week is a very good friend of mine. I met him through my other friend, Eric Marino, who goes on the road with me a lot. And he's very funny. He's part of the new school. He's a new jack, and he's about 5 years in now.
That's right.
And he's got a really interesting story to tell, and I really enjoy his comedy. It's very, it's smart. You'll see. He's a stand-up comedian. He's a writer. He's an actor. He's an all-around guy. Give it up for Brett Singer.
Thank you. What an intro.
Right?
I want you coming with me.
I know. I'm monster intro girl.
That's good. That was good. I feel good now.
Right? You should. Yeah. That's how you're supposed. It's supposed to feel good. All the shit I say, but even when I make fun of people, they feel good when I'm done because It comes from love. And it comes from me wanting you to be all you can be.
I've never seen an audience get mad at you.
Never.
Never seen you get mad at you. And you've taken them apart.
I've ripped them to shreds. But in a fun way, in a loving way.
Yeah, exactly.
I never want anybody leaving my show feeling like shit. Like there's been incidents of like individual people that have gotten very like closed off and upset.
Sure.
And it's funny because then I build them up as I'm destroying them, and I'm tearing myself down as I'm destroying them. So there's no receipts. None. You'll never get a receipt. That's right. I'm Whitney Houston. Show me the receipts. I hurt your feelings. Show me the receipts. So, Mr. Brett Singer, you've been doing stand-up about 5 years now, right?
Right.
Give or take. Tell me about your experience. How does it feel being like 5 years, and what is your take so far on your 5 years?
That's an interesting question. I always feel like I should be further along than I am, because that's just pressure that I put on myself.
That's every comedian.
Is that every comedian?
That's every
so
comedian.
I'll be 20 years in and I'll feel like I should be further along?
I'm 28 years in and I feel like I'm a loser. Like I'm back at square one. That's how I feel.
Well, that's encouraging. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm going to go.
So about 28 years, yeah, you should kill yourself by that. Good night. Thank you. Oh, excuse me. Unalive yourself, because you can't say kill. You have to say unalive. Because we're so fucking uptight.
You can't say, you have to say, I've never heard that one.
Never? Yeah, it's all over the internet. I've noticed that. There's a lot of words that you can't say anymore that on the internet, but I can say them in real life.
Right, exactly. You can say them to a person.
Yeah. So it's part of my new bit now about, like, I have the old one about the pronouns on my album, Brutally Yours, on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you stream. That's my lame plug.
That was good. That was
You
good.
like that, right? Because every time someone brings up my album, I'll Brutally Yours on Apple. But I have the whole bit about pronouns, so now I'm adding to that, to the next layer, to the next level about all these other words you can't say in straight pronouns. That's my new thing right now.
Okay.
So that's weird.
That sounds good.
Yeah, so it's words we can't say. So good luck to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's a really real feeling, and you're right. Like I always tell people, especially with that feeling of like feeling like I should be farther, I should have done this, I should have done that, I should be here, I see this guy's got this. Don't look at what they're doing online. Because everybody has that false sense of hope online. Everybody has that false facade of what their life is really like online. And we get caught up in what other people are doing. And it makes you feel like, oh, I'm not far enough. Oh, I suck. I should just quit. And I'm sure, I don't know, do you have those feelings?
Oh, absolutely, especially relatively lately.
Yeah.
I've been having those feelings because there's other things I want to do.
Sure.
And is this keeping me from doing those other things?
No.
And it shouldn't be.
No. And I always try to tell people, and I even try to tell myself, like I have these talks with myself too. You are right where you're supposed to be. Like you don't rush it. And don't drag your feet. Just keep doing what you're doing because you're right where you're supposed to be. Whatever that means to people, just take it how it means. Because I'm like, I think I'm supposed to be a lot farther because I've been in the game so long. But I took a different path than they did. They took the path,
I'm not taking that path.
No, and I'm
not doing that.
So I took the long road. For my career, I went on Waze and then did all the detours. I didn't use the GPS. That was a joke. But I always tell people, and and Marino and I always talk about it, we're right where we're supposed to be, whatever that means. So, and you're 5 years in, so you're, like when I've coached comedians, and I've talked about this on the show before, it's like, treat your comedy as a child that you gave birth to. Because you created it. You've created the stage persona, right?
Right.
So your stage persona is 5 years old now.
Oh, I like that. That's good.
Right? So
that's a good way to look at it.
It really helps put shit in perspective. Because at a 5-year-old kid, you don't expect much out of that kid. He's finally got sentences. He's kind of independent with his toys, but he still needs you. Doesn't have his own thoughts yet, but he's kind of you know what I mean? Like it's that weird growth spurt between 5 and like 7 or 8. Because when they become like 7 or 8, you have kids. I was a kid once, 3 times, 4, including tomorrow. But the thing is that where the kids, like, when kid's 5 versus when a kid is 7 or 8, it's like 2 different children.
We were hanging out with my nieces this weekend. It was adorable. And 4 and 5.
Okay.
The difference between 4 and 5 is
huge. Okay.
It's gigantic.
So look at that 4-year-old as you're 4 years in, and look at that 5-year-old as you're 5 years in.
Oh, I'm much better.
Yeah.
I'm liking this. This is good. This is making me feel better.
Yeah, good. It should, because it really puts shit in perspective. It's like you can't expect shit overnight. And if you think about it, comics like especially these TikTokers, like when I was coming up, we didn't have any of this shit. We didn't have internet in the 90s. We didn't have internet until like 2010. Really, like what Instagram was like, was Facebook was what, 05 or 06?
Something like that.
We had MySpace.
But nobody, well, except for Dane Cook, nobody really got famous out of MySpace.
Nobody got famous off MySpace except for Dane. Exactly. And it's like, he utilized it perfectly and launched when Dane did it, it was like, we could do that? Like, that was so unheard of, because that was a world we had no idea about. So now cut to these TikTokers. Everybody's a comic. Everybody's an actor. Everybody's an influencer. You know what I mean? Like, it's so saturated. It's kind of, I tell people, I said, just let it get saturated, because after a while, the saturation can't absorb anymore. Like a sponge, if it's full, it can't absorb any more water. So all the dead weight will start to fall off in a few years. So when these TikTokers zoom to stardom right away, they have no foundation. They didn't build their house right. They just put the roof on it and painted it. I'm like, but what about the foundation? What about the walls? What about the floors? What about the beams to support it? What about, you know what I mean? What about the ceiling? You just have a roof.
Well, that's why when they get on stage, they
awful. Collapse. Yeah,
they don't have an act.
They have nothing.
They have a few catchphrases. They have a couple of quick videos that maybe went viral, and obviously that's nice. But they don't have any material, so they get up in a club and they get booked for a half an hour, and they have nothing to talk about.
Yep, and they don't even try. Like, there's one person that I saw get big in COVID through Snapchat with the funny faces. He would do his family. Was Anthony Rodia. And he actually worked his ass off and wrote an act.
I'm sure it's benefiting him.
He's selling out theaters all over the country.
That's great.
He's phenomenal. But he's like, he took that instant, fame off of, that instant influencer fame, I should say. And he really said, okay, I got this, now I gotta back it up. Like, at least he was surrounded by comics like Joey Cola and all those guys. And
Joey Cola, his name comes up a lot in my life.
He's a legend. Joey Cola is a legend.
He is helping out a good friend of mine. His name's Anthony. He's a good guy. Andrew Alfredo.
Okay.
I just got his name wrong. Andrew Alfredo, comic in Connecticut. Met Joey, and Joey's like, here's my number if you have any questions. Incredible. And it was like, I was so jealous. I said, oh my God. I said, Joey is a goddamn legend. That's awesome for you.
He's incredible. And it's nice to have that. I got to have Mooney as, my number one mentor.
That's crazy.
And then I was surrounded by Dice and Rogan and Mencia and all these guys that were big back in the 90s and the early 2000s. So I grew up with them. Like, they were like my big brothers. So it was like they took me under their wing. And I learned a lot from them. And also with guidance from Mitzi Shore, too. I was very lucky. I just didn't play the game properly, because I wouldn't play the game, because I was under Mooney's wing, and Mooney never played the game, so I didn't play the game.
Right.
I just learned under him. Like, oh, homie, fuck those people. They don't know. They do not know, homie. They don't know. And But it's like, but having Cole, like, I got to get Cola on the podcast. I got to get him in here. I love him.
I'm sure he'd be great.
Yeah, I would probably be lying on the floor laughing the whole time, and he would just take it over, which I wouldn't mind at all. I'd be like, go, run, be who you are. But yeah, just, what were we saying? Oh yeah, see what happens when you get old. Don't
mentoring.
Get old. Yeah, but you know, it's taking, like, all these TikTokers. I tell all these comics, after a couple of years or so, they're gonna fall off. Because none of that shit sticks, you know? You follow them and they get this frenzy and this whole 10 seconds of fame. It's not even 15 minutes of fame anymore, like Andy Warhol used to say. It's 10 seconds of fame. It's 30 seconds or a minute of fame because those reels are like 1 minute long. They're gonna die off. Think about, like I was telling someone, I said, think about all the viral videos you see. Friends send you funny videos. It's got millions of views on it. You look at it, you don't know who it is. You don't remember who it was or what it was 2 days later. I don't remember half the shit I see because it's so much. You're so inundated. So how are these kids, if they don't utilize it properly and do the work, how are they going to maintain that? They're not. They're going to fall off to the wayside.
Right.
And
it's all about having an act.
Yeah, it's. I tell people, slow and steady wins the race. You know, they may be winning the battle, but we're going to win the war because they're not going to last.
I'm liking this a lot.
Right? It's just like the pep talk.
This is good stuff.
Right? I know I'm good for people, and but I tell you, I just, you know, people like, you know, like this whole controversy. You saw the thing with Jerry Seinfeld, you know, being upset about being like the woke is ruining comedy and you can't say things anymore. And it's like, yes, they're both sides of that are true. His side and the other side, you know. There's certain things, you know, we've outgrown certain things. Like there's certain ways of thinking we've kind of outgrown. And you kind of evolve with the times. You still Jerry Seinfeld, he should evolve. Like he should do Jerry Seinfeld in the now, functioning now. He would destroy. But he's so caught up in the kids today, and
well, it's not like he had some crazy edgy act
no,
that's all language,
which would be even funnier because he is so simple.
Yeah, I mean that's not, I'm not sure what he's referring to be honest. I mean I get it, I understand where he's coming from, but it's what is he being prevented from saying?
Exactly,
and that's
the argument. Exactly, and that's my argument was, well, here's Andrew Dice Clay, who in our generation was kind of our Lenny Bruce in a way, if you think about it, because Lenny Bruce was arrested and put in prison for the things he said, because you couldn't say anything like that back then. Dice gets canceled. He was the first comic of our generation to really get canceled. You know, when the LGBTQ community went after him about his age jokes and his gay jokes, and they blacklisted him in Hollywood, he lost everything. Nobody would hire him, and that's right at that moment is when I met him. When he was falling, and he went on Arsenio Hall and he cried like, I'm not that person, it's a character, it's just comedy. And the controversy against him was bad and he had to rebuild. So what did Dice do? He didn't sit back and complain and go, the kids today, fuck these guys. He's like, because he's not a mean guy. Dice is one of the most generous men I've ever met. He's the kindest man you'll ever meet. And he sat back and said, okay, plan B, I gotta rebuild. So he came to the Comedy Store every night, worked hard on material, and we would sit in the back in the parking lot. There was like the stairs to the belly room, there was a parking lot, little place where we used to hang out. Now it's changed, like they've added the patio and sacred ground and all this shit in there, and there's studios that, like, they've really remodeled the store really cool. But back then, we didn't have the hangout like that. We would sit in the parking lot on the stairs, and we'd sit there, and he would try out ideas, and we'd throw them, say, like, you know what, that's what we did. We were comics. We'd all throw shit together. Like, we'd sit in a round table, and, hey, I have this bit I'm working on. Like, oh, you should do this. Oh, yeah, add this tag. Oh, dude, I have a great joke for you. Hey, you know, you got a joke for me? Oh, fuck, I want to hear it. You know, it's like, it was like that. And he sat and he rewrote and he reworded and he busted his ass, and now he has a whole new following with young kids with all this silly TikTok and Instagrams of like, you want the picture with the famous face of fame, you know? But his silliness has garnered him a whole new career because he's still Dice, but he's just Dice in today's world, functioning with technology. It's hilarious.
But you got to evolve. You can't do the same act forever.
Exactly.
It's not the 1980s anymore.
Yes.
I was in a punk band when I was in high school, and all of the songs are so offensive that I couldn't sing them today.
Right.
There's no way. You could say things in 1986 that you can't say now.
And back then, that was punk rock. That was the falling out of the system, was saying what you can't say. We would write songs, we would tell jokes, we would do all that shit back then. I was very punk rock when I was young.
Okay.
I love punk rock. But the thing is that Dice evolved. He's still Dice. He didn't change who he is. He's just matured into whatever's going on now. He's like, all right, this is what's happening now. How would I react? What is his thing? He's crushing it right now. And meanwhile, Jerry's sitting up in his fucking castle with the moat, with the crocodiles ready to chew on any fucking anti-woke. When I was your age, Jerry's become the get off my lawn guy.
Yeah, I mean, I genuinely want to know what he's not allowed to say.
Yeah.
Like, what joke was it that you didn't want, that you tried to do, Jerry, and somehow you were prevented from doing?
Right.
Like, I don't buy it. I don't think it exists.
He's one of those guys and I always say this about like certain types, like certain, I guess, I don't know what, like certain age or certain types of comics or certain, I'm trying to think of the word, but like a certain group of comics in this country that hit a certain age and they peaked when they were younger and they sit back and like the world's passing by. Even though Jerry has $1 billion and he was super fucking successful, and he should shut the fuck up and get over yourself and do something. Be proactive, get involved, come back to the clubs, be, evolve. But they sit in their house and bitch about, what about me? What about this? And how come that guy's getting this? And who does he think he is? And all that shit. And it's like, you're sitting at home bitching about it, but you're doing nothing about it to either include yourself or even just do any change or anything. You're just a little punk.
Making friends.
Making friends. Jerry's my best friend. I used to know Mario Joyner, and Mario was like one of his the head writers and stuff, and we were best friends. And when I would run into Mario in LA, and I'd talk to him, and Jerry was always with him too. Jerry never said 2 fucking words to me, so fuck that guy.
There you go.
See,
that's what we're here to say.
Here we go. So, like Mario would be like, because he knew I was this young girl I want to do comedy. I'm at the Comedy Store. I'm starting out. And Mario's like, really? Like, is that, as we always do, when somebody new comes into the game and goes, I want to be a comic too, and they go, and we all do the same thing. Ugh.
It's like converting to Judaism. It's like when someone comes to you and says, I want to convert to Judaism, you're supposed to tell them, don't do it.
Yeah.
You're supposed to say, no, it's really hard to be a Jew. You don't want to do that. Here's all the things that you have to do.
Yep.
So like that's which by the way, I learned from an episode of Different Strokes. I didn't learn from anything.
We'll be right back.
But it's the same thing. If someone says they want to do comedy, it's like, well, do you really want to do that? Is that really what you want to do?
And so Mario was like, you sure? And I was like, no, you don't understand. Like, because he doesn't know what was in my head. He didn't know me that well. I met him at the gym, at Gold's Gym in Hollywood, and we became friends. And then later on, one time I was in the Valley. It was the famous Jerry's Deli in the Valley. Everybody went there after shows or whatever. And him and Jerry and a few others, I don't even remember who they were because I just focused on Mario, and I was leaving the restaurant with a bunch of other comic friends of mine. And Mario looks at me and goes, hey, what's up? And Jerry's just staring at me. Like, who are you? And I'm like, hey, Mario, what's up? Like, we were shooting the shit for a minute, and I just kept going. And he just, watched me. And it's like, what are you, my warden? Like, what the fuck? Are you a parole officer? Fuck, I can't say hi to the black guy at the table? I can't acknowledge his presence? What the fuck? I'm being silly in my head. So then, later on, every time I would see him and Jerry out, I would talk to Mario, not 2 words to Jerry. Jerry didn't even acknowledge me or say, hey, how are you? I've seen you a bunch of times. Who are you? Nothing. Not like everybody else would do that was famous. They'd be like, I've seen you around. Who are you? Tell me who you are.
So he was already Jerry Seinfeld at that point?
Oh, yeah, he was super Seinfeld then, This was in the mid-'90s.
Oh, okay.
Mid to late 90s when I started. So I started in 95.
Oh, okay.
So at that point, so then one night I was coming into the store, and the front of the Comedy Store is a patio, and there's the doors to the OR, and there's an outdoor bar, and then there's the path that goes all the way around the back. So I'm walking into the patio, and out around the back is Mario and Jerry and a couple other guys walking out. And Mario's like, hey, what's up? And I go, hey, I have a spot later. And I was coming in late for my late nights because I was a late night comic. And they just, he still would just look at me. And Mario's like, wow, you really stuck. And Mario actually said, this was a couple years in, and Mario's like, wow, you really stuck to it. I'm really proud of you. Like, that's really cool. Like, you told me what you were going to do, and you did it, and now you're here at the Comedy Store.
It's nice. It's nice for him to say.
It was nice. It was really nice, and it was very cool. Barry's a cool dude. He's a really cool dude. Jerry, not so much. But I don't know him, so I can't say that. But then again, I can say that because, hi, who wouldn't want to be my friend? But yeah, so that was so Jerry, just evolve, honey. You know what? I'll take you out to the clubs.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
You know what Jerry needs to do?
It.
He needs to go to black clubs and start doing stand-up.
That would be hot.
That would be hot as fuck, right?
I would want it. That video would go viral. That would definitely be
I want to open for him. If that happens, Jerry, I'm opening for you. I'm going to set it up nice so you can go up on stage. What's with these people? And when I say these people, I mean you. I mean it. Good night. Oh, sorry. So, with that being said, you have a very interesting story yourself?
I do.
Yes.
Okay.
Because you're like Mr. Mom with 2 trans kids and a comic book nerd and a writer and funny. Like, you have all these cool things in your life that you draw on. So.
Yeah, I mean, way back, going way back, I was a publicist. I was a theater publicist.
Okay.
Which is a horrible job,
Yeah.
but it paid the bills.
Sure.
And we needed my income back then.
Sure.
My wife got a promotion at work. She said, "We don't really need your income anymore." So, but I'm going to be busier.
Listen to this now.
Listen, this is how you get the good stuff.
Yes.
And she said, "Do you want to do something more fun?" And I was able to move into freelance writing. It was back in the blog boom. The parenting blogs were a big thing.
Huge.
So I wrote for this website called Babbel.
Oh, I remember Babbel.
And they eventually got bought by Disney, and then Disney just shut them down.
Sure.
But
as they do.
But it was, we also went, you basically got paid a very tiny amount unless your blog post went viral, and then you got a bonus.
Sure.
So there were all these websites that you'd use to promote your little blog post, like Curtsy and Reddit,
yes.
which was still a thing, which was very new back then.
Yes.
This is like 2008, 2009. And I did well. I eventually started writing for AOL. I wrote for all the various different AOL websites. I went on TV a bunch of times, went on Fox News once. That was very exciting.
Was it though?
It was so much fun. Everybody sees it.
Yep.
I'll tell you something. Everybody sees it.
Yep, it's true. Listen, no publicity is bad publicity. Even if it's bad, it's still good because they're talking about you, and if it's bad, they're going to talk about you more.
Apparently AOL got so many emails. Like, who the hell is this guy?
Oh, I love that.
Talking about condoms in schools. He's terrible. It was awesome. I had a great time.
Great.
I had a great time.
The
video is on my website, brettsinger.com, if you want to see it. It's awesome.
Oh, I love
Megyn Kelly just yelling at me for 8 minutes. It was fabulous. It was totally fun. I would do it again in a heartbeat.
Oh, that's phenomenal.
Yeah, it was great. But so I did that, and that was fun. And then all that evaporated.
Sure.
Basically, nobody wanted to pay for content on the internet. I wasn't making like a fortune, but I was making,
decent.
I was doing okay.
Yeah.
And it just gradually sort of chipped away,
Sure.
and then eventually it was all gone. I wrote for the AV Club for a little while. That was pretty fun.
Hilarious.
AV
stands for adult vagina. Good night.
Heyo.
Heyo.
And then I sort of fell into a depression. I was very unhappy for a pretty long time. A friend of mine says to me, "Let's take a comedy class." And I said, "Are you kidding?" I said, "I'm depressed. I don't want to take a comedy class." So I start going through my notebooks because I always kept notebooks. I was always a writer. I always did stuff. And I realized I'd written jokes.
Wow.
I had written set up punchline jokes.
Sure.
So when I got up to do, there's always, I don't know if you've noticed this, but I've noticed a lot of new comics, they just kind of talk. They don't really have any material. They just kind of get up on stage and just sort of talk.
Because they all watch Chappelle, and Chappelle is a bad influence because he'll just go on stage and just talk his feelings and people listen because he's already Chappelle. He's already established. So people want to hear his thoughts. So half of his stuff becomes TED Talks because he has to get it out. Like he has to share. These kids think that they are at Chappelle's level, and it's like nobody knows who you are. Nobody gives a fuck who you are. Shut the fuck up and make me laugh.
Right.
Earn my trust, then I'll listen to you.
Right. But that's going to take you 20 years. That's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah, exactly.
So I never did that because I always felt like I needed jokes.
Because I don't know if that's how it works.
Right, exactly.
Oh, funny how that works. You need jokes to get on stage?
No,
Who said this?
The teacher, Karen Bergreen, who's great.
Oh, I love Karen Bergreen.
Karen's awesome.
She's such a great writer. Oh, you guys got to look her up. Karen Bergreen is so funny. God, I love her.
She says to me, she's like, have you done this before? And I was like, no, not really. And she's like, because you have jokes. And I was like, yeah, well, it's just sort of years of scribbling stuff in notebooks. And it turns out some of them are jokes. Now, I'm not using any of those anymore.
Of course,
it's not stuff.
Because you've grown.
Yeah, it's not like, but it was not. But it was just, I realized that I could do this. This was something
and it's
I could
also,
do.
it was a way to birth you. Like that was part of giving birth.
Yes.
To your comedy.
Oh, what I used to do. I mean, I don't know if you saw me when I was just in my first year. I had a piece of paper with me. I couldn't go on without the piece of paper. I was bad. It was Eric Marino. So Eric Marino actually suggested to me. He said, "Go up there and say you're the joke inspector. You're here to see if these jokes work." And I was like, "Why do I need to do that?" And he said, "Because you're so stiff.
Yeah, you're stiff, and you're holding a piece of paper.
And you're holding a fucking piece of paper."
Yep.
And it was, there's video of me. I performed at the Friars Club because we were members of the Friars Club, so we were able to produce shows there.
Yes.
And unfortunately, the video is not usable because I'm sitting with a fucking piece of paper telling these horrible jokes. Just terrible jokes. And I mean, some of them got laughs. I mean, it wasn't like the whole thing fell apart. They were jokes, so people knew when to laugh.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Set up punch.
Yeah. So like there were always jokes.
But that's your first year in. That's how you learn. Like it's like taking a baby to a swimming lesson. You just throw them in the water and they figure it out. That's how you learn. Get on the stage.
Right. And so it evolved, and then I realized I had to group the short jokes. Everything was a short little joke. So then I started grouping them, and then I had literally 10 different people tell me you need to talk more about being a stay-at-home dad. So I did that, and then
By the way, that's your first album or first special is Mr. Mom 2.0.
There you go. I like that.
I was thinking that the other day.
I like that.
And I was like, this is Mr. Mom 2.0.
I love it. I love it.
So.
And then my kids start coming out.
Yes.
To various degrees of things.
Yes.
I have a joke where I say, my oldest first came out as gay, then came out as bi, then came out as trans. And it's like, that was the progression.
Yeah.
And in my act, you can see the progression. Like I used to have a gay son and a straight son. Then I had a gay son and a non-binary child. And that one was tricky. Non-binary is hard to write jokes about unless you're actually non-binary.
Yeah, but also you could also treat it as like school, like it's a college. Like, like freshman year, they were just gay.
Right.
And then like freshman, sophomore, they started coming out a little bit. I'm non-binary. I'm everything. I'm, pan or whatever the fuck. And then at the end, they graduate into trans. They get their diploma, they have their cap and gown, and they are now, I am a woman,
exactly,
darling.
Exactly. So now I have 2 daughters. And,
yes.
And you can sort of go through, it's funny, my daughter said to me, because the video that I've had that's gone the most viral is an old joke about my gay son. Mm-hmm. And she said to me, I now understand why you don't want to give up this joke. Because it went viral. You got 1 million views on this. Of course you don't want to get rid of it. I said, yeah, well, okay. I mean, I can't use it anymore. That's not who you are anymore.
But also, you've done the joke already.
Yeah, the joke's done. It made the video did well. It was great.
And now you'll write more jokes like that that have evolved to the next level of her life and your life together.
No, there's always new stuff. There's always new stuff. It's always that by the way is one of the things that keeps it exciting is that you like I get that there are people that just keep doing the same act. I think I would get bored.
You do. I get bored after 2 months doing the same joke, and I'm like, all right, I gotta fucking change this up, or I gotta fucking, whatever I gotta do to it. But it's like, there's things that you do get bored, and then some people get lazy, and they just kind of like phone it in on stage. They do the same 45. I call them the cult 45s. It's that cult of the 45-minute headliner, and they just do the same routine over and over, and then they wonder why the work dries up in a few years. It's like, dude, we've heard all this shit for 10, 20 years. Like, change your act. Add one thing. Make it fancy,
Right.
But yeah, that's the beauty of stand-up. It's like it's ever changing, and there's always something new to talk about. There's always some new layers, and you can even take your old joke, and you could actually reword that old joke into a new joke. You see what I'm saying?
I do.
You can morph it and use that joke as the setup for the next level of jokes. So you technically don't have to get rid of that joke. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So, that could be like the setup of that part, and it was almost like a preparation or some sort to this next level of jokes. So it's like your setup. So you can reword it to the point of using that joke as your setup, because that's what led her to this point. So you don't want to leave that part out. You want to add that in, so you can constantly recycle that and just reword it a little bit as things morph. And then when you add that next layer to it, she's going to grow past that next layer, and there's going to be a third layer. So you're going to have that first, second, and third layer now, and you'll evolve it as rewriting it. I learned that from Mooney, how to bring old material back as fresh again.
Oh, cool.
Because I would watch him every night when I opened for him, watch him take, we're talking, 2000, between 2005, 2010, like around that 2008, 2009, like when OJ got arrested for stealing back his own art that he sold. Remember that?
I remember that, sure.
And he went to jail in Vegas, He was able to use that and bring back all the OJ trial.
Oh,
and
cool.
Pull that in. Remember, and it was so, when I watched him do that, I went, that's magic. And that's when I started being able to, like anything new, like with my Kardashians. I've had Kardashian bits for years. For like 20 years, I've talked about the Kardashians in one way or another. And somehow, when something stupid happens with them and I bring it back, I use that as history. Like remember this because this, now it's this. You know what I mean? And I tie it, I weave it in to the new bits, so you can still technically use your old stuff, and it just makes your new bit longer and fuller, but it adds the backstory to it.
Right.
So you can do that with that bit.
Cool. I like that. I'm gonna do that.
You should. See? Gems, people. These are all gems.
Good stuff. It's very good stuff.
I may not be famous, but I sure know a lot about this shit. But, I was raised by the greats, so, I just do what I do, because I always was taught, don't find your audience. Don't look for your audience. Your audience will find you.
That's good advice.
You just looked at me so blank, like, what?
No. I'm processing that. They said, don't find your audience.
Don't
your audience
look for your audience.
Your
Let
audience.
the audience find you.
That's powerful.
Yeah, because if you are you, unapologetically you, and you're doing your jokes and you're killing, the word gets out. Oh, that guy Brett Singer, he's really funny. I gotta go check him out. Oh man, I saw this guy, he's talking about his 2 trans kids, and he's a stay-at-home mom, dad. Fucking hilarious. You gotta go see him. Oh, okay. Then they bring the friend, and then after a while, it builds and builds and builds. Or they'll say, hey, did you see this video? They'll share your clips. This guy's really funny. We gotta go see him when he's in town. And that's just be who you are, and your audience will find you. Because when you're searching, you're not really paying attention to what you're doing. Your attention is outside your body, looking way over here. Instead of looking inside and seeing who you are and becoming who you are and being that solid performer, then once you have that, people will start gravitating towards you. And you won't have to worry about it. It's one less thing you got to worry about. Because think about it, you have to worry about jokes and find an audience, and you're out there searching and running, excuse me, can you follow me? Excuse me, can you watch my shit? All that energy is being taken away from the stage and who you are.
Right.
So just do what you do.
That's tough. That's great advice, and it's hard to follow.
Oh yeah, all advice is great. All great advice is hard to follow.
Right.
Because it's hard to get out of our own way.
Yeah.
It's in life, we get in our own way with bullshit all the time. We throw up obstacles. I do it too. I mean, I'm human. I know when I'm doing it too, and I'm like, all right, Christy, knock it off, But, we still fight those demons. We fight those obstacles that we put those barriers up around to make it hard. See, I can't do it. See, it's because of that. And then you give up. And it's like, no, just keep going. Because if you keep breaking through, I always picture that cartoon, the guy with the little pick in the underground tunnel. And he's right there, and there's like this much space left between him and like the openness where he's trying to get to. And he gives up right there. And he just walks away. And I'm like, dude, if you just held on a little bit longer, you would have been where you wanted to be. And that's very powerful symbolism of everything that we do. We give up too easy. It's like, fuck, it's too hard. I do it too. I do it all the time.
Fine, I'll go to Brooklyn tonight.
For
No,
what?
I was going, no, for a show. I was going to go anyway.
Okay. Whose show are you doing tonight?
I honestly can't remember the name. It's at a place called, I'm drawing a blank. It was, I met this guy at a show.
Famous.
I met this guy, exactly. I met this guy at a show in Basin, Stephen Pantelides' show. And I met the guy and he gave me a spot. It was great.
Nice.
So it's some kind of competition and I'm happy to do it.
Okay. Yeah, I don't do competitions. I'll judge them. I'm like, dude, I'm too old in this game. I'm not competing against some kid.
I'm in it for the spot. I'm doing it to.
Yeah, I don't
care.
Yeah, I don't need people ripping me. I used to judge comedy contests.
Oh, that must have been fun.
It was really fun, and there was like a couple of the people, the producers, like, can you just tell this person to quit comedy because you're the only one that's brave enough to do it? And I'm like, all right, where is he? You quit comedy. Because they told me I would never tell. I always tell people, if it makes you happy, this is how I tell them to quit. If you're happy doing this, then keep doing it. Then do it because it makes you happy. And who the fuck am I to tell you what makes you happy or not? Who the fuck am I to tell you what to do with your life? If you're happy, keep going. If you're miserable and you hate it, but you're doing it because you think that's the easy way out, quit. But I always tell people, because I would never, if something in this world makes you happy and it doesn't hurt anybody around you or hurt yourself, then fucking do it. That's the problem with us now in the society, is that we're all so angry and we complain and we're miserable. And everybody's angry and attacking and defensive. And it's like, dude, stop worrying about what anybody else is doing. What are you doing? What makes you happy? And it's like, and I was talking to someone, I said, right now we need comedy more than ever. And everybody's so afraid to say things. Everybody's so afraid to take chances. Everybody's so afraid to push and see where they can go, that they freeze up and they get that analysis paralysis because they're constantly going, oh, I can't talk about this, that's controversial, I don't want to upset anybody. And dude, just be funny. Just shut the fuck up and be funny. Nobody cares. As long as you're funny, nobody cares. We'll be right back. But so with your 5 years in and you're experiencing, so you said you had a video go viral, which is awesome. Has it helped you? It
got me more followers. I'm sort of looking at my social media as kind of like an online resume. Mm-hmm. That if someone wants to look and see what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like my exterminator complained that I hadn't uploaded any videos to YouTube because I don't usually just because I'm not good at social media. So I just like I'll upload it to Instagram, but I'll forget to upload it to YouTube.
Sure.
But it just gives people a chance to see what you're up to.
Yeah.
And if somebody wants to see what your story is, they go to your. I focus mostly on Instagram.
Yeah, me
just
too.
Because
I love Instagram.
That Instagram seems the easiest. It's the place where I've had at least a little bit of success.
Instagram, and believe it or not, Facebook. I don't know if it's because I'm 53 and I fall into that.
Oh, I do. I test jokes on Facebook.
Yeah.
I do okay on Facebook.
Instagram and Facebook have been really good to me. But I use YouTube, but I always forget about YouTube. Isn't that weird? And
YouTube Shorts is great. The few times I've uploaded to YouTube Shorts, I get decent. I get
a lot of views on YouTube Shorts. I'll put something stupid up, but then I forget because I get so busy with other shit because I wasn't raised in this, so it's not my first thought, and it should be. So it's like I haven't figured out what code to crack with the algorithms with this because I wasn't raised on computers and cell phones and technology or like social media. I didn't come up under that. I was already 40 years old when Instagram came out. So it's like, okay, I haven't cracked the code. I'm not already famous, so I don't have that. So now I got to figure it out. So now I've gotten to the point where I used to stress myself out about it. Like, fuck, I can't go viral. I'm trying to figure out like a magic thing or put up something funny or whatever. Now I just put up things I like things I think are funny or clips that do really well, or whatever. I put up the podcast clips. I put up like comedy clips. I just do things that do really well and that make me laugh. That way when people see, they're like, oh, she, and it'll just emulate basically me saying, my audience will find me. Instead of me trying to find the audience, I was stressing myself out. So now I just put up the clips that like I kill at. I loved this bit. I love this crowd work or whatever it was. I'll put that up. I put up the clips for the podcast because I love all the podcasts I do. I have so much fun. I have so much fun doing stand-up, so I share the clips that I love. And I'm like, you know what? They'll find it or they won't. You know, at this point, I'm just like, I'm just going to keep going forward, just keep doing what I love, and eventually it'll work itself out.
I like that. It's good.
And it probably won't, but that's okay.
No, I mean, everybody talks about the rules and the algorithm, and you're trying to do this and you're trying to do that. And I've seen people have minimal success. I've never seen anyone. The people I know, you know, when I meet someone who's got a big Instagram following, it usually came about or relatively organically. Is that somehow they clued into something. They were not sitting there slavishly posting. You know, maybe now they do. Maybe now they do post three videos a week. You know, one image or whatever. There's a formula. It's all out there. You can find it.
It's all a formula. And now they're finding that images aren't doing as well as videos because people want to watch something.
Oh, it's all video. The
video.
future is all the stand-up accounts that I follow that I want to emulate are all video.
Yeah.
It's just there's no show. Maybe there'll be one post where there's multiple pictures. And it's sort of like stuff that the person has done. Yeah. You know, but that usually only works for like young hot women.
Yeah, but I also, when I've done that, I've made a video reel out of it. So the pictures morph into the next one, so it's still a video. But otherwise, if I put pictures up, I just put that shit on my stories. I put flyers on my stories because they say don't put any flyers on your timeline. Right. I put flyers in my stories. I put pictures up there. And if there's something really funny that I relate to, like it's usually an animal video. It's usually a panda bear falling down because I love panda bears. They're so cute. Or a dog or something fun, and something funny an animal does, and I'll put me, you know, and I'll tag it, you know, I'll put it in my story and write me, and then and then post it. But that's, you know, the stories right now are where it's at. But I just post things that I think are funny in the stories, and I post clips and stuff like that in my timeline.
I tried posting. I was posting sort of comic strip panels, like comic book panels with, you know, text that I put on them. Nobody cared. So I finally was like, you know what? If I'm doing this just for me, that's fine. But I guess
branding.
Yeah, I'll still post. I'll still do it. But I sort of pulled back on it because I would post them on my actual timeline, and it just got no response whatsoever. So I was like, you know what, this is clearly not the place for
Put those on your stories.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah, that's what I would do. But it's been so much fun having you on here.
Oh,
and
thank you.
I'm so glad that we met.
Yeah, absolutely. Same. You've been terrific to me.
You've been really good to me too. Like, you know, you really have. Like, you have a great monthly show at Jack's Fire Department in Sunnyside, Queens. It's really fun. If you guys are in the area, you should go. It's the first.
Christy Miller crushes there. Okay, crushes. It is a tough room, and Christy crushes.
Because I love garbage. I'm Oscar the Grouch. I do. I really love trashy people. Because you know why? I like people that are just having fun. I like people that let loose and just not give a shit about anything. They don't give a fuck what people think of them. Those are my people. Just live your life loud and beautiful. Just go. Just be. If you want to be a big, fat, sloppy whore with bald spots in your head, then bitch, you be the hottest, fattest, sloppiest, bald-headed hoe that you can be, bitch. You be the #1 fat bitch. Okay, just do it, girl. I will be your #1 fan because you live unapologetically, and that's what I love. Anyway,
that's a great way to look at it.
Yep, and I love to wrap up the show with 2 questions that I always ask my guests because they're fun. And my first question is there a bit a comic has done that made you go, God damn, that's brilliant. I wish I had thought of that first.
There's 2.
Okay, we love this.
John Oliver has a bit where he says, I asked my son, it's all about like wanting to, stuff you want to be when you grow up and how you never really you never become the thing you wanted to be. He said, I asked my son what he wanted to be when he grows up. He's 5. He said he wants to be Batman. I don't want him to be Batman because that means I get killed on my way home from the opera. Which is just, that's
brilliant.
That's such a me joke.
That is a very you joke.
That is 100% a joke I could have written. If you guys
see Brett Singer, he's comic books, nerdy, he's hilarious.
And then I just heard this, and I'm not going to be able to do it verbatim, but Ben Frank, who's hilarious.
Oh, very funny dude.
Has a joke about polyamory that I really wish I'd written. It's something along the lines of, I've walked into a room and said, I want to bang everybody in here. He doesn't even say bang because he's really clean. Yeah. I want to bang everybody in here. I've never walked into a room and said, let's all get an apartment together. You know, and it builds, and he's sort
Yeah.
of building on it. Let's get a cat. You know, it's very, very funny.
No, he's really funny. Ben Frank is. I got to get him on the show too. I told him, I said, you know, you have something that no comic in America has. I go, you speak Cantonese fluently.
Yes, which is
he lived in China for a long time.
crazy impressive.
And it's insane because you look at him and you're like, this dude don't know shit. And this motherfucker did a whole special in Cantonese. It was brilliant. The guy, I'm like, dude, you have something that nobody has. And you need to milk that.
He's very advanced. He's
so
beyond
smart.
his years.
Yeah,
he's really good.
Yeah, because he lived overseas. He saw other cultures. He saw how, you know, and he was able to use all that experience and then come home and then just, it's great. I love that guy. He's fantastic. So if you're in New York City, or look him up online, Ben Frank. He's very funny. He just had a new special that he did.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
I think he did it at St. Mark's Comedy Club.
Oh, cool.
Or did an album, or I don't know what the fuck he did, but I wasn't invited. Good night. No, I'm sure I was, but you know. But he's very funny. No, it's a brilliant joke. And there's so many comics in New York City too that are like on the up and coming level. I'm like, God damn, these kids are good. Like I just get so excited about some of these kids that are on the come up, as the little ones say, the come up.
The come up.
Yeah, I'm trying to be hip. Anyway, so I adore you so much.
You're so nice.
No,
the feeling is mutual.
Yeah, I absolutely adore you. And I want you to tell everybody here at Old School, New School Comedy Land where they can find you on the interwebs.
You can find me at brettsinger.com. That's Brett with 2 T's. At the Brett Singer on all the social medias.
Fantastic. Any shows this next week or so?
I can't remember.
Perfect. I do that too. I have to look up my calendar every day because I have calendar Alzheimer's. I'm like, huh? What am I doing? Like this morning, I'm like, what day is it? Oh shit, it's podcast day. So it's
Right.
Like, that's how I live my life day to day. But you could also follow us here at Old School New School Comedy on Instagram at Old School New School Comedy, and you can follow me on all the socials as well at Christy Miller Comedy, except for X, Twitter X, whatever it's called. I never use it anymore. I always forget about it. But on there, I am Bitchy Slambora. And that's my roller derby name. But otherwise, we're here every Monday at noon. You can follow us, like us, and please share the show. We love you. See you next week.